Hello, Rodney.
Hey Steve, how you doing?
Oh, pretty good. Pretty good. The weather's still windy here, but that's to be expected.
Hey, yeah, I heard there was a bunch of storms moving across the country.
Yeah, I think most of them started south of us down around Texas, then diagonal up to Chicago. Yeah, it's been really windy this year.
Yeah,
Yeah, not much going on.
yeah, I think we missed most of that. We had a little bit of rain come through a day or two ago, which I thought was attached to this storm, but I think we're just getting the edge of it.
Yeah. Um, you got the Boulder show this weekend.
No, it's not at Boulder. It's at the Western Stock Show complex in Denver.
Oh, okay. Okay. The the reason I brought it up, been thinking about getting a proto throttle from Iowa Scaled Engineering,
Mm-hmm.
and I called Spring Creek today, and they said that they'd be going to the show at Boulder this weekend. The gal did, and she may have got confused.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So
they're supposed to be there.
yeah, you got quite a few guys using the proto throttle.
Um, I know of one or two. I don't know a lot. I think it's the TCS throttle now is the one that people like a lot.
Oh, yeah. I don't know. It just looked interesting from what um, the YouTube videos I've looked at. It looks like they run soundtrack and ESU equally well, and kind of like things. You can program it so when you do a brake test, the air compressor comes on and pumps up, and it shows the pounds of air pressure in the brake lines, all
Hmm.
this stuff. I don't know. I'm getting bored looking for things to do. So, it's been a long winter. Uh, I,
Yeah,
yeah, I've been working on my layout again.
good.
Yeah, yeah, getting ready to glue some track in place on it on the next module, and just kind of like putzing around on stuff, and that's why I thought a proto throttle might be interesting thing to work with.
Yeah, I've used one once. Um, I think it was once, and it takes a little getting used to, but I'm sure a person can get used to it fairly easily.
Yeah. Well, I got an error message on my Windows PC, so no big deal. Creative Cloud from Adobe didn't like something.
Hey, Steve Davis here. Hi, Rodney. Thanks again for your hospitality up there at the Fall River. We had a wonderful time.
Great. Yeah. Um, we had an operating session at John Parker's on Tuesday, I guess it was.
Oh,
Yeah,
And
well, it was yeah, Tuesday. Seems like a month ago.
yeah, you guys got out of here just in time.
Well,
Yeah.
it was snowing on us as we were leaving, so yeah, I
Oh,
think
was
that
it?
would qualify.
Yeah, that's kind of a nasty drive from here to Tulsa in bad weather.
Yeah, I chickened out. My friends all drove. I decided to fly. Got Southwest direct flight to Tulsa.
Did you go to Denny Krausman's Tuesday night?
I did. I unfortunately he never was able to get his cats working. There was another guy. I tried to help him, but there was another guy helping him. It looked to me like the problem was he didn't have Java installed. Did you ever get to talk to him or figure that out?
No, I didn't hear back from him at all.
Well, I we had another person also named Steve, which is a lot of Steves. There's two Steves right here on this call, so maybe I think it was Steve Mann, maybe though, not
Yes,
Steve.
that's yes, that's one of Denny's people.
Okay. So he was trying to get on the internet, and I kind of get that because he wanted to download um, Java. But I was suggesting we search because if he ever installed Java ever, he would have the install file probably in his downloads or somewhere and just double click it and reinstall it. But the problem was when he tried to start cats, of course, it starts JMRI. And when it started JMRI, it said no Java found and it closes out. And I wish I could have helped more. I mean, I think I could have, but nobody knew me from Adam, and nobody was going to let me help him. So it was okay. We had a decent session. He worked his butt off. The Denny did because he had to talk everybody. You know, all the signals were red, and he had to talk everybody into where to go. And you know, I felt sorry for him honestly. But it wasn't your fault. I mean, I think that I'm guessing what he did because he had called his internet service provider to fix the internet, but that wasn't going to happen until the day we left, which was Wednesday. So by now he may have the internet back up, and if he does, he probably went and downloaded Java. I thought he was going to use the internet just to contact you so that you could talk him through it, but I wish I could have helped more. But anyway, we got through the session. Everybody had a good time, so that's all that really matters.
Yeah, that is all that matters. And as you know, um, there could be sessions where everything goes wrong.
Well, I've had those, and for the weirdest reasons sometimes. One of mine, along many years ago, was a stupid Windows update that just kept causing me to lose everything on my PC. And I had a backup that was good, but every session I had to keep restoring my backup. It was
Hmm.
the most annoying thing in the world.
Yep.
Well, I had three good sessions back in Tulsa week before last using cats, and I everything worked like a clock, like a Swiss watch. It was perfect. Had a guest dispatcher one of the times and local dispatchers the other two, and by choice. I always ask anybody if they want to volunteer to dispatch, and usually somebody does, but in this particular case, only one crew had a guy who did, and in fact, his name I think is Lloyd Kelly or Kelly Lloyd. It's one of those people with two first names, so it's kind of hard to know. But he sent me a nice thank you note. In fact, I just received it today, but he was so serious about the dispatching. He emailed me ahead. Could he do it? I said yes. And we had an open house here in Tulsa. I guess it was the afternoon of of Friday, and Friday evening was the first operating session. And at that open house, he came by with his wife and walked the whole railroad, and he had all these materials he had printed out from my website. And it turned out that this guy, well, I had known this, and that's why I gave him a strong yes when he asked if he could do it. He had worked as a tower operator at the KCS before they had CTC and all. Actually, had tower operators, and he was familiar with the trains. And as you might expect with somebody with that level of skill, he was pretty salty. Of course, he hadn't really done any cats or uh, PC dispatching that I'm aware of, but that just goes to compliment you on your software. It's just that intuitive that this guy who never really wasn't really a computer guy could do it. I had to show him things like how to grant track and time and a little some of that stuff, but he needed very little help from me. And so, really, I think the compliment goes to you. I didn't create cats, I just created that particular layout. So, well done. Well done. And I had a good session. So, knock on wood, I wasn't that guy this time. I have been in the previous. In fact, it might have been a pro rail, if I'm not mistaken. It all worked okay. The people behind the scenes didn't even know what was going on, but I was sweating it because I was up between sessions and downloading and reinstalling Windows and all this nonsense. And finally, I got it all under control. But it was one of these Windows updates where you couldn't turn it off, you couldn't stop it, and lo and behold, it just kept wanting to reapply itself. I tried even turning the computer physically off, which of course did work. But then as soon as I turned it on and tried to quickly start cats, the first thing you would see was downloading failed update.
Yeah,
Oh well.
yeah. I got one of those too. I've got the club computer, and I did something really stupid. I put one of the optional updates on it. Now I can boot it into safe mode if after it fails 3 times or something, but I cannot get it fixed.
Oh my God. Well, that's what I was doing. But I tried to safe mode. So, yeah, well, I feel for you. I understand because I'm in there. Don't
Yep.
know if I have any great advice for you because what really fixed it was when Microsoft realized that there was an issue with that update and they came up with a subsequent update. And once I applied that one, all my problems went away. So I did not fix it.
Yeah. Well, you know who the culprit is then.
Yeah, that'd be Mr. Gates and his team.
Yeah. The story about a rookie dispatcher is always interesting because there are two pieces to dispatching a model railroad. One is learning the dispatcher machine panel, whatever, and how to run it. And the
Right.
other is the railroad itself. And
Right.
and this is about the first time I've heard of somebody who understands the railroad, but was a newbie on the machine.
Right. Usually with a PC base, most of them sit down and kind of know it. But this wasn't one of those guys. Like I say, he had worked the Armstrong system apparently, or maybe he had a CTC panel. I don't know I didn't really talk to him enough about what he had at the tower. I just know he was a tower operator. So it could have been with the Armstrong lovers or it could have been with the mini CTC in the tower. I couldn't tell you, but he talked to the chief dispatcher and then he'd physically, clear trains. So yeah, it was a pretty neat deal. He had a great time too. And it was kind of fun for me to see a guy like that do it. He definitely
Mhm.
knew all the right, the way to talk to the trains, and he understood and followed the run sheet. And I wish I had more guys like that. It's like so many people don't read instructions of any kind, whether it's about how to do the dispatching or just as simple as how to, um, just how the trains run and stuff.
Yeah, that's 99% of model railroaders. We
Yeah,
don't
sure.
read.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Well, I mean, that's also, I think, a tribute to your fidelity to the prototype that he was able to, pick that up.
Well,
So,
I'll take that praise because I felt really vindicated when he um uh asked me questions about the different trains and they were trains he knew and I really was running them on my railroad, so that was pretty cool. In fact, I learned a few things.
hmm
Guess it's been a while since you've had to do any work on the cats program. It's pretty stable. You're not getting too many. I don't see much when I read the forum emails about people saying they're having trouble with anything. If they are, it's usually just misunderstanding of the software.
often it is. There've been a couple of little things, and the good news is I've been able to fix them real quick in internally. I haven't released it yet because I got this one problem that I got to get over, and it's basically a rewrite of how I handle turnouts.
Interesting.
Yeah.
My friend Bob McNabb, who was trying to decipher your stacking code, you went over his head. Apparently, he couldn't follow it. He said it was very complicated. And is that gonna affect any of that, or
No, no, that
we'll
shouldn't
wait?
affect it.
Well, we'll wait for that next release then, and when it does come out, I'll be sure to download it.
Yeah. That's too bad. Because I thought I simplified stuff quite a bit with that stacking code.
It could be him. It could be him. He's retired, and um, I'm not. What I have from you that's been slightly modified. It works great. I have no complaints. Don't get me wrong.
hmm Well, no, but it's kind of the canary in the mine, because then if he's having trouble with it, I'm concerned that in 5 years I'm not going to understand it either. But I think it's straightforward. But anyway, yeah, it's what I was brought up with.
I think it's always easier, Rodney, to understand something you wrote because it'll come back to you when you look, especially if you put even a little bit of comments in there. Whereas he can't, reverse engineer your thinking. So I'm
Mhm.
throwing this one on him, not you. You have thousands of installed, and I've installed, like I said, I think 3 in actual operating model railroads. So yeah, it ain't you.
Well, yeah, except I don't. I could just got thinking that see, this is 2025, and some of this code, the original stuff at least, is 20 years old already.
Well,
So
sure.
yeah,
That's just how it is. I mean,
yep.
why rewrite it? You've already done a great job.
Yeah, if it
I
ain't
see.
broke, don't fix it.
Yeah, like they say, my work is done here, somebody once said. Oh, somebody new joined. Hi, Rob. I'll shut up and let somebody else talk for a minute. We're just chit chatting, at least I am. I was out there, saw Rodney in person, and he was yardmaster, which I thought that was the ultimate uh, sign of trust to have you as the most knowledgeable dispatcher on that railroad, the Fall River, letting our 2 guys from Tulsa take turns dispatching without any real help in there, and they did great. They did a good job. Of course, Sammy had done it before, but Zach had not. I had, but I gave it to Zach because I got to dispatch uh, the Greeley thing, the Colorado Model Railroad Museum. That was quite a hoot.
So you can do a machine as well as the computer thing then.
Yeah, I've done as many of those. I really enjoy that. I'm not going to change mine over to it, not only because of the expense, but I'm sort of a prototype model railroader like you and like John. And in 1982 on KCS, they did not have um, uh, CTC machine. They were using, I think, Lab Tech or something like that. It was just a straight point and click, very similar to what CATS is. So I chose to use that because that was the correct thing to use.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Rob, jump in.
How's it going, guys?
We're doing good.
Came in right in the middle of the conversation with the stack command, so that was good timing on my end.
Yeah, we were getting down the weeds and talking a little bit about the implementation.
Have you
How's
used it on the latest version, Rob?
I have not, no.
I have used I have used stacking and I do use cats, but one of the things is I had a friend that had put stacking in it before Rodney had it. His was a little different. It was kind of like you right click on a signal, then right click on the next one and say add stack. Well, you right click on a signal and you have a choice, and then one of them is add stack, and then you click on the next signal and it sets up that stack, which is similar. But then the order in which you click on it has no importance. It's whatever movement is possible first is the one that it makes. So I'm going to upgrade to yours, Rodney. I've dispatched on it and other people's railroads, including, Parker's, and I like the way it works, and I don't really have any problem with it. I just, like I said, I'm busy building another subdivision of my railroad, so it's just that my focus has been on laying track and things like that, and not in updating the dispatch system. But that will be required because once I get this railroad as big as it's going to be, which will be double, then I'm going to need all those human user interface advantages, if that makes sense.
How big is it going to be after you double it?
Well, right now it's, let me get the calculator out, but I think close to 4,800 square feet. The first railroad is, the existing one is 35 by 60. The building's 45 by 60, but 15 feet of it is like crew lounge, dispatcher office, restrooms, things like that. So actually it's 30 by 60. So that's 1,800. But then the other one is just railroad and it's all mushroom like what John's is. So that's going to be 45 by 60. And so that's 2,700. So 2,700 plus 1,800, a little quick math, 4,500. So I think that the Colorado Model Railroad Museum is 5,000. This will be 500 square feet less than that.
Yeah, and I was saying John's is around 2,700. So his is
Yeah.
about what you're adding.
Yeah, that's about right. But I have to admit that he uses the space much more efficiently than I did on my first layout because the original third sub, I didn't have the amount of double deck that he has, or, I know it's a mushroom, but I didn't have as much of that. Whereas the entire new one is double deck in a mushroom configuration.
Wow.
Yeah. So it'll be the bigger one. I don't know how many feet of mainline track. I haven't gone to the trouble of doing all that math.
That's why I wanted to ask you, Steve. I had seen one of your videos on YouTube and it was a cab ride across the entire layout. And I was just wondering
Well,
how
that's
long.
the third sub. That was the
Yeah.
entire third sub,
Yeah.
which
Well,
is what, yeah.
how much longer is, I think you just answered my question, but how much longer is your mainline run going to be once you get the new section in?
Well, without having the exact math, because I got asked that question by Joe Fugit when he interviewed me for the article on Model Railroad Hobbyist or whatever that is, I'm MRH. Um, so I'm saying it's at least 1.7 times more. So, because
Wow.
whatever I have now, because the other's double deck and I don't have space taken up for lounges and bathrooms and stuff, because that's all in the other building, it won't be quite double. Well, wait a minute. No, it'll be at least double because, yeah, my math's mixed up. Sorry. I know it's going to be more than double. Let's say that. So maybe what I was trying to say is maybe 270%.
Gotcha.
Because
That's
if
going to
you
be
add a new
fascinating to see.
building, sorry, go ahead.
No. I just said that's going to be fascinating to see.
Yeah, the problem I have is, of course, I'm getting older, like we all are, but I'm still fascinated and excited about it. We have a work week every Friday, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., so that's tomorrow. And after having seen all these great railroads up in Denver area, I'm excited to get back and do more work on it. And so, because thank God I have help, there's a good model railroading community in the Tulsa area, and a lot of people who want to pitch in and help and have different areas of skill. And now that we're through with just the bench work, which is more of the grind and people didn't like it as much, I'm finding that, it's easier for me to get people to sign up for the work session. So I should have a pretty good crew tomorrow, including some of the guys that came all the way out to Denver. Heck, came back. I got home last night, and I'll be working on my railroad Friday. I took a 1 day break. That was today, but I'm excited about it. I think right now we've laid all the mainline track, and the next step will be, and when I say track, it's the roadbed plus the track. I have not yet painted it or ballasted it. I'm running trains that are on the main line, putting all the tortoises. Everything runs for now correctly, and I want to get all the track in and running and correct any problems before I mess it up by painting it and ballasting it and all that.
Gotcha. Look forward to seeing the progress for sure.
Oh, that's great. And of course we'll put something out on a YouTube sometime along the way. I guess I know people are interested in it. I just don't like going out and taking pictures of my layout when it's just the plywood pines and Pacific. So mostly I've limited videos to something that looks like a little like something. I'm not going to reach John Parker's level of detail. I'll say that right now, but it's passable what I have. It's not horrible. It's not the best, but it's not horrible.
Well, Steve, I wondered whose other layouts. So you're on Denny's and John's. Which other ones did you guys go
I
to?
was on the A&O,
Yes.
and the Colorado Model Railroad Museum. So those are the four we ran. The uh, uh, John, with the morning session was I'm trying to remember the guy Stewart, Dave
Yes.
Stewart,
Yes.
A&O, and that was a great railroad, and that had a CTC machine which I've run previously, but I let one of my fellow travelers run it because and he was okay with it because I wanted to let somebody else have a shot at it. Thank you. I just couldn't seem to express myself.
Yeah, there's something that's really satisfying about slamming those metal
I do like it. Yeah.
in O scale. Yeah.
the O scale itself was a treat, just the heft of the cars, and you really felt like you were running a train. And I like that.
Well, Ken, glad to see you got on.
Yep, I managed to catch in right at the end of dinner.
And we don't have any heavy topics so far yet. We're just kind of chit chatting.
Has there been any material updates to JMRI that impact your software and that I need to be aware of, or that I need a better version of Java? I mean, everything's running so far, but again, I do have the older version running on 4.20.
Yeah. Um, I think you'll depend on what version of Java you're on. I think you'll need to go up to 11 at least to pick up because JMRI's forced it over on I think was what 5 if I remember right 5.0 forced you to 11 and you may just want
Yes.
to going on to 17
Okay.
because that's what's being pushed
17.
that's what looks like they're transitioning to 17 because
Wow, that's a
that's
big jump.
it is, but I don't know that Oracle did much in between 11 and 17. I haven't checked to see what all the details on what they
Yeah, I
had.
think it's kind of weird what their update schedule is, but I'm sure they have reasons for it.
Yeah, I'm sure they do too. And then are your Digitac tracks underneath, right?
Mostly, yes, that's correct.
Yeah, you'll need to then check the release notes for JAMRI because you won't be able to jump from 4.26 or whatever to 5.9, for example, in one jump. You'll have to do it in a couple of
Because of the
jumps.
Digitrax? That's
There,
crazy.
there were some changes made in JAMRI that they changed some of the underpinnings.
I see. Okay. We'll take care of that.
So when you make your jump, don't plan on doing it in one smooth move, but definitely read the release notes.
Every time I do that, Ken, who I see lurking here, well, you spoke, you're not really lurking. Helped me a lot because that was one of my big hurdles was getting, all the interim sort of changes that needed to be made. But Ken, you talked me through it just fine, and I was able to make that all work. You definitely have to be careful.
Hey Rodney, what's the most current version anybody's used of JMRI using cats that you know of?
It's a good question.
Yeah. Um, I think we're on 5.9. Somebody
Okay.
is. And
Okay.
and the whole reason that I'm not saying do it is because it wasn't that JMRI changed, but right around 5.4 JMRI changed the library, so the logging library changed. And the old library isn't compatible with the new library. So if you play around with your libraries, right? And Cats is written for the old log4j rather than the SLF, whatever it is. So if you're not worried too much about your library being compromised, it was due to a security vulnerability, is what I've heard. You just drop in the new library into the folder for JAMRI. I think I'm on 5.9 on. I've tried with 5.9. It works okay.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
We're
good.
using 5.4 and we've had no issues with it. So I didn't want to upgrade any further if there were issues found, but yeah, we've used 5.4 since that came out, sometime early last year, I think, maybe even late 23, and we've had no issues.
Yeah, well, that's when JAMRI swapped over from using the old log4j logging library to the newer one. Was 5.4 was the breakpoint.
Okay.
And then from my perspective, because of some of my users still are on 4.24 and stuff like that. Um, I'm concerned about backwards compatibility, particularly when one of my best beta sites is using 4.20 something Jamurai. And
Mhm.
they do it because it his computer isn't on the network, it's not on the internet, and it's isolated. And if he wants to do any take advantage of Decoder Pro or something like that, he's got another computer he uses, a more recent version of Jammer on it. And so he doesn't have a whole lot of incentive to upgrade it. And I can't blame him if you got to, jump up a version of Java and then maybe do a couple of Jamrai updates to get him up to date. Eventually, I think he'll have to change it, of course, but for now, he's doing just fine.
I can understand that. If I recall correctly, my buddy and I, we upgraded to 5.4 because the number of items included for LCC was so much that it was worth the upgrade. And
Yeah.
it helps us with the hardware and it just worked well with your software. But yeah, the hardware update on LCC was so great that it was well worth upgrading it.
Oh, absolutely. Yes. And you guys are kind of starting with more or less a newer type system too, so you're basically starting it from scratch.
Right, right.
So Rob, you're using LCC. That's excellent. Is it the stuff that RR Circuits has come out with, or who? TCS?
Yep. We bought everything from Dick 2-3 years ago. Now all we use are Signal LCCs and BOD4 CPs.
Okay, so you got block detection and signals.
Correct. Yep. Yep. And actually, let me see if I can get my video to work here.
Huh?
Let's see here. Can you guys see me or no?
No, I see your name on the screen.
Okay, let me try something here because I have the designer screen up and it's actually our layout. I have it on my computer so I can simulate stuff, but you could see what we have here. But I don't know if I can get this to work or not. I can get my video to work. Let's try this. Oh, there we go. Maybe did that do it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's great.
Okay.
Cool.
That's our screen. And what you see in white is what we have active right now out on the layout. Everything in gray is still has to be signaled and block detection and everything like that. So that's what we're working on. But as you can see, we got about half of it in right now. And then right now,
good.
the next section we're working on is right around the diamond here and up here where the double track is. So and
That's a pretty complex arrangement there where that diamond is.
yeah, we got a lap siding there with the diamond. It looks really cool on the layout,
I'll bet.
but yeah, that's what we have there. So
Cool.
yeah, it's about a 670-foot run.
That's a long run.
Yeah, it takes about 25-30 minutes to get across. So
Seems like an excellent railroad. Love to see it one of these days.
yeah, it's private house. It's not a club or anything like that.
Okay.
And it's not mine or my friend who sometimes comes on here. Rodney,
Oh.
you know the other Rodney that comes on here. He does all the hardware, I do all the software.
Awesome.
So yeah, like he'll do everything underneath, he does all the wiring and whatnot. I do all the programming on the CDI. So but yeah, I'm glad you got that to work. I mean, last I wanted to show that to you guys. So
Yeah, that's
Thanks
good.
for
I'm surprised 'cause I didn't think screen sharing worked, but that's good. It's nice to see it.
Agree.
it was my phone. I just had it flip-flopped around. So
Yeah.
fortunately we got that to work. So you guys got to see that. But yeah, it'll be interesting, Rodney, to see if we have any issues with that diamond there. I know
Yeah.
that one might be, you might get an email from us like you did with the restricting signal issue we were having there. Or not restricting signal, you know what I'm talking about, what you were working on there before.
Yeah.
What we had sent you there. But yeah, I'm a little not apprehensive, but interested to see if there's any issues that arise when we activate that section. So
No, I agree that the diamonds are kind of interesting from a programming standpoint because you got stuff that's not following the tracks but coming across the tracks, the various indications and locks and things like that.
right now, what's interesting is we're finding it easier to program that area on LCC in CTC mode than it is in ABS.
Yes,
Wow.
Because
yes.
what we have there is a push button to get a signal request to go across the diamond in ABS only, not CTC, because obviously the dispatcher controls it. And we haven't figured out all the logic yet, so we're right in the middle of doing that right now. So it's the other Rodney and I have been pulling our hair out. We had some couple late nights talking about it, and we've got quite a bit of it down, but not all of it. So.
Yep.
But yeah, we're interested to see if that diamond works as correctly as intended. So
So, okay, just the technical details then. You got CTC on the main line and the crossing is going to be ABS, or you going to make it CTC as well?
no, everything's CTC, but we have a CTC ABS toggle over underneath the computer, and we can just hit the toggle, and the whole railroad goes to ABS.
Oh, okay.
And
That's nice.
if we flip it up, it goes right to CTC. Everything goes stop. All the holes get put on basically.
Yeah.
So and it works perfect. We've tested it numerous times, and it works great.
So,
What
so
we
really what you're saying is CATS is out of the picture when you flip the ABS button.
That's correct. Yep.
Okay. No, I understand because I remember trying to figure out the logic on how to get that diamond stuff to work. And I've tested it with a single diamond, and I've also tested with because you're crossing three tracks there in
Right.
three in a row, and I think it works, but we'll see
Well,
when you do something.
yeah, we're gonna find out one way or the other.
Yeah, that's the truth.
But no, it's coming along, and hopefully, I'd say by Memorial Day ish, we should have that next section activated. So probably by June, I would say you'll hear back from us and if that works or not.
Super.
So. But yeah, otherwise we've had no issues other than the one we found for you that we're and obviously I think the other Rodney said we don't need it right now. You can tell we still got half the layout. We still have to put the signals and get the block detection up and everything. So
Yeah, like I said, I've got a fix for it. I just haven't released it yet.
yeah, no problem. We're not in a hurry. So, but yeah, it's been an interesting thing with the LCC and trying to figure out all the logic for that interlocking.
Hey, I saw an announcement. I think it was Bob Jacobson and somebody else built are selling a board or some solution that's for a control point. Have you guys seen? I don't remember if it's LCC or not. I think it's LCC.
Yeah,
Really?
yeah, they just posted it on the groups.io there last week, I think it was. There was a lot of discussion about it.
Which
I
groups.io?
Layout command control, I think it is, Steve.
Okay, cool. I'll
I
look at
forget the
that.
full name. Yeah,
Yeah, we don't.
layout command control. There's no spaces in between any of that. It's all one
Right.
word. So
Understood. Thanks.
yeah. Yeah, that was last week. Let's see here. Yeah, new product for LCC signaling. Yeah, it's a Jim Kuhnman and Bob Jacobson, like you said, that Rodney.
Be interesting. It should be a good product.
Yeah, yeah, definitely looks encouraging for beginners and whatnot, which is what LCC needs.
Yeah.
Obviously, we've done very well with it, but considering the prototype knowledge that my buddy has, and my interest in the signaling and all that, and my knowledge on the computer and whatnot. I mean, we were able to figure out, but it is complex for sure.
Yeah, I think it's just the entry into LCC can be hard.
Yes. Yep. And they just came out a new book too on LCC there. I actually just got it today. I ordered it on Amazon the other day.
Really?
Yeah, Dana Zimmerly, he posts on the group there quite often. He just came out with an updated version of his book. It's
Okay.
Basic and Advanced Principles of LCC for Model Railroads. Let me see if I can bring my video back up here.
You're quite the resource here.
Oh, let's see here. Can you guys see it?
Okay,
Layout
yeah.
Command Control 2025,
Yeah.
Dana Zimmerly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I may have to get that. I haven't really made the plunge into it, but it does sound like it would really give you broader capability, certainly better bandwidth.
Yes. Oh, definitely. Definitely. So. Yeah, lots of discussions on that group in the last month, and like you said, product announcements there, Rodney, and then the book coming out, all kinds of stuff going on there. So
Yeah, that's what needs to keep it going.
absolutely.
That's true. Well, I guess it's just us, so I guess I'll go ahead and sign off.
Yeah, it looks like we lost Rodney. So
Yeah, well, that's kind of the main guy. So
right.
I thank you, Steve, and talk to you later.
All right. Have a good night, guys. Take it easy.
Yeah, you too.
Take care. Bye bye.
Hey, Ken. Okay, I'm back. Ken, can you hear me?
Is that being heard?
Yes, I hear you.
Okay, you do hear me.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, yeah, we had a little power event, and I'm not sure it's totally over because first it went on and off a few times, and then it came back, but not full strength. So I went and checked the meter, and yeah, we're only getting about 100, 105 volts. Walked outside just to check, our lines in our part of the street. Nope, everything looks normal. And came back and then could see that it was going like 115, 120, 125. Nope, back to 115, not exactly stable.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm not sure what that is.
Yeah. Yeah, I had the same I had a similar type problem here. I dropped out because my machine is what, 10 years, 12 years old, something like that,
Hmm.
Windows 10. And it's always had a problem. Every once in a while, the video driver, I think, does something weird. And it used to be it just hash and, the screen would go hash and the machine would basically lock up. I pulled out.
Yeah, and things like this, if people are just using the text or the static window, it's not so hard on the video. But if you got like three or four of the windows that people are doing the live video, yeah, that can kind of, you know, cause it some headaches.
Yeah, well, I replaced the video card and now um, the video will lock up and then the thing will just reboot.
Hmm.
It's something in the machine itself. It's not the video card.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
it can
that,
be just, memory's old and tired or
yeah. So that just hit me in the middle of this, and it looks like everybody else decided to go home. I don't blame them.
no, no. Yeah, because if you're not sure what's going on, it can be a problem. That's for sure.
Yeah. Well, I
Yeah, actually, I
figured,
think, well, since I do have, yeah, the comment that we're trying to make now, and it should kind of be semi-official, is yeah, Java 11's minimum. A lot of people have been using Java 17, and it's been pretty, no known issue. But most of the sites, their default wants to give you Java 21.
right.
Now, far as we know, yeah, there's a few potential issues, but those of us who have been using 21 have not actually seen any issues. And that we're kind of leaning towards people use, well, 17 or 21. And if you do run into something, we'd be very happy to find out what it is.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. I'm went over to my laptop because after you get a unexpected shutdown with 11, it sometimes takes it a while, or 10, I mean,
Hmm.
and it takes a while to clean things up and get things going again. I don't remember what I
Yeah.
did. I need to check it because I think because I use Eclipse as my development environment, it forced me to do an upgrade once upon a time because Eclipse wasn't supporting needed the newer Javas.
Actually, let's see. Actually, the one thing I ran into is to get a up-to-date version of Eclipse, it actually wanted me to go to 21 on the Java. Now, what's funny is it's for the program that is. Now,
Yeah.
internally for what it compiles against, it actually is linking, I think, either a 17 or an 11 runtime, or rather, that's something we can set options for as to what we're actually running the code against.
I try to link against the oldest that I can.
Yeah, I've been let's see now, the Steve that was in the talk that was just Steve on the screen.
Right.
Which Steve is that?
Steve Davis from Tulsa,
Okay.
KCS, third subdivision.
Okay. Yeah, because I was going myself, gee, I know a lot of different Steves.
Yeah, yeah.
And actually right now I'm having an interesting time. Let's see, what's his name? Tim Moran or something like that. He's IIS. He's down in Florida and he makes signals for people. And he's also trying to get an understanding of LCC.
Uh-huh.
And I am helping him out, moving him along a little bit, but also generally getting backups of his nodes. And then I go in, edit, and add things and then send it back. Okay, now watch what this does. And he's slowly catching a few of the concepts of how you do coding in the nodes for the signals. But it takes a bit to catch on to that stuff.
Yeah.
And we're in a Zoom, and I was just starting to do a few things, and he's saying, "Where's that in the book?" And I said, "Well, I hope in Dana's rewrite, it's in the book somewhere, but off the top of my hat, no, I have no idea." But it was things like
Well,
using the search in the CDI to go and find something by name. So I'm doing mostly by names rather than the hex digits, and a few other just, nimble fingers with cut and paste. And
yeah, now one of the guys, Rob Ball, who was on the conversation earlier, had a copy of Dana's new book.
ah,
Apparently it is
it,
out.
yeah, I've seen the announcements of it, and so I'll be curious what people are finding out of it, and how it helps. In some respects, anything can help.
Yeah.
But okay, yeah, once I finally got system kind of stabilized and the router back up, well, at least the light seems to be the right brightness now. I've just got like one of those little kilowatt meters that we leave on an appliance, mostly just to see what's going on. And yeah, I went right to that and saw that's not good voltage. No wonder it's dim.
You guys have weather going through there?
Not right now. I mean, last night there was some pretty good weather, like right about 5 a.m., a really good thunderstorm line. And there had been another one back about 10 o'clock, in the evening, and rain on and off, fair bit of wind. But the last 3 weeks, we've had a lot of wind, and I still have a couple of trees to cut up and a lot of branches to pick up. Actually, I'd say probably about the last 6 weeks around here, every other week at least, we've been getting, gusts in the 50 or 60 range. And yeah, well, not as bad as what's been hitting the guys up in Michigan, because they got like ice storm combined with some of that wind and some of the decimated trees. And I've seen pictures from like White Creek, the rather sizable 7.5 inch gauge railroad. That, yeah, some places where, yeah, a tree came down and it went right through this piece of track, and few dents here and there. One place where it managed to twist out of the ballast about 30 feet of track. So I'm not sure exactly what hit what where, but it levered, a turnout about 10, 15 feet one way and another 10, 15 feet down the double track part. Just got it to pop right out of the ballast.
Mhm.
And well, of course, then the week before, the video and report came from Eagle Ridge, which is down near Chattanooga, and they had a wildfire move that through that place. And like this car barn got hit, this one nothing got hit. Some it's like, yeah, you can kind of make out what that used to be. Um, so as things go, it's been a fairly adventuresome spring. I've been out to the our live steam club and spent, well, so far at least 4 days with the chainsaw. I'd get kind of caught up, or at least I cut up what was laying across the rails, and then week and a half later, go out. Oh, here's another tree or two, get them cut out. Did that a couple, been doing that about every other week.
Yeah, and I hear there are wildfires in North Carolina and South Carolina. They're making a mess out of things.
Yeah, well, that's what got Eagle Ridge. They're outside Chattanooga, and it basically just came up this one hillside. They're kind of at the top of that hillside, all forest. And the pictures they were showing, there's no underbrush, no leaves, no, it swept right across the ground. Didn't do that much in the way of like actually burning the trees, the wildfire moved through, singed all the lower parts, and was gone in very short order. Unfortunately, the buildings, they burned for a while.
Yeah, they do.
And then, of course, you get some of the locomotives. You figure, okay, well, you got at least a gallon and a half in that one, and then hydraulic oil in this one, and so on and so forth. So that can mess things up for a while.
Yeah.
Well, as you say, since nobody's gotten back by now, it's more likely nobody will.
Yeah, I think so.
So I think we might as well call it quits for the day.
Yeah, I do too. And I think I need to get another PC. But
Yeah, 10 years or so. Yeah, it just might. It might.
yeah, this one won't run 11. So I need I suppose I better do it before the tariffs kick in real bad.
Yeah. So somehow it seems in some cases stuff that must have been sitting in the warehouse for at least the last 6 months, but some places may be adjusting the price anyhow.
Yeah, who knows?
Yeah, oh yeah. Okay, well, you have a good night.
You too, Ken. We'll see
Will
you in
do.
maybe a month or so.
Yep, we'll see. Okay,
Mhm.
bye.
Bye.